and welcome to Ali Lives Well on Less. I'm Ali, an early retired teacher currently living well on a small pension. And today is Money Monday and I'm going to talk about being prepared. And being prepared for pretty much anything. I mean, it doesn't need to be the zombie apocalypse. I'm sure you don't need me to say that the world is very unsettled at the moment. So I do think being prepared for all eventualities certainly brings me peace of mind, and it does save money in the long run. So for me, being prepared is being prepared for anything that might happen. A few years ago, I lived very rurally and lived out in the middle of nowhere, where quite often in the winter, the high winds and the storms and the heavy snow would bring down the power lines, and living in an all-electric house meant that there were periods where we were out of power. We could be without power for at least 3 days sometimes. But I was always prepared for that eventuality by always having enough food in the house, in the store cupboards. I had a wood-burning stove that I could use to heat one room, and I could also cook on top of the stove, and I also had a little kettle where I could boil water on top of the stove, and I also had one of those little portable camping stoves as well, you know, little gas stoves with the canister. So I was always prepared if I had no power to heat or to cook with. And the recent storms that we've had here in Britain showed us that very quickly you can be cut off. You can have no power, you can have periods of time where you might not even have water. I have commented before that I like to keep bottled water in the cupboard, because certainly in the last 11 years since I've lived here, we've had a few burst water mains due to bad weather, and mainly through, I think, freezing and thawing issues where old pipes and water mains tend to burst. So again, I always like to keep water on hand just in case, and I'm always prepared. At the very least, you can always make yourself a cup of tea, or you can fill a hot water bottle to keep yourself warm, and so on. So there's all sorts of ways of being prepared. And I was thinking over the last few weeks about being financially prepared. We are fast moving towards everything being digital. Most of us do our banking online, and we do digital banking. We also do banking and money things through our phones, and that's fine. When the digital stuff works, everything is easy peasy until it's not. And a few weeks ago, is it 2 weeks ago now, here in the UK, we had one of our major banks basically went down, and no one could access their money. No one could access a salary, bills weren't paid, people moving house, the money wasn't able to be transferred, so people were between houses. There was all sorts of stories in the newspapers and online about people who became homeless because they couldn't pay their rent. Now, that I'm not entirely sure about. I did not click on the story to find out the details, but to me, someone being evicted because the banking system was down for a few days, I'm sure there's a lot more to that story than they were saying. But yeah, basically, if our digital banking and money system goes down, either through a technical fault, or through being hacked, or without going into conspiracy theories, there are all sorts of reasons why the banking system, the online system, could go down. And we are fast becoming a cashless society. So is it worth keeping cash? And my answer to that is yes. And yes, I do keep cash. I do have cash in the house. I do have cash in my purse. And I do keep cash in my phone. It's a habit I developed many years ago when I was in a position where I think it was a big Tesco somewhere, and I was doing a massive big family shopping for, at that point I was feeding 5, and their card system went down, and I had a full trolley full of food, and no way to pay, and I had to walk away and leave it, as did many other people in the store at that time, because they didn't have cash and they couldn't go to the Autobank and get money, because I don't think at that point the Tesco, I'm thinking this was in Irvine in Ayrshire when I used to live in Troon. I don't think the supermarkets had Autobanks. I think this was still in the time where you physically had to go to a bank, to an Autobank, to a hole in the wall to get cash out. And yeah, I couldn't get any shopping. And since then, I've always tried to keep some cash in my purse or tucked into my phone. So I always have what I call my emergency tenner tucked inside my phone case. I now always have about £100 worth of notes or coins in my purse when I'm out and about. Partly because I do like to pay cash in the small independent shops or businesses that I use, because I know that these small places end up having to pay a fee to use the credit card machines and facilities. So I always have cash for that. But I have recently been out for lunch, and the place that we were having lunch in said that their MasterCard machine was down, so we would have to pay cash. Unfortunately, between us all, we had cash that we could do that. So cash still has a place today, and even though I might pay for something with cash, I still count that as part of my monthly budget. So for example, over Christmas when I had to call out the electrician, I paid him cash when he came, but I still took that out of my monthly budget. I also just, as a habit, do keep some cash in the house. It gives me a feeling of security, knowing that if the you-know-what hits the fan, I am still able to buy food. I would still be able to put fuel into the car. I would still be able to pay for small services that I might need to pay for in order to. So I'm just watching Luna making a mess on my rug. So I still have enough money to pay for a service, because I don't want any trades people to be out of pocket just because the banking system goes down. So I was wondering, is it just me? Is it just me being overcautious? Is it because at various points in my life I have felt out of control and wanted to have some sort of control over having cash to hand? I don't know if you are of an age where you remember when it was the year 2000 and there was a whole load of scaremongering over what would happen at the stroke of midnight when it turned into the year 2000. Would the computer systems cope with that? And that was 25 years ago, and that has stayed with me. It has stayed with me, not being completely reliant on the digital world. And my sons would probably laugh at me and say it's just my age, but certainly the younger generation have complete faith and confidence in the digital world. And even over the last few days, apparently PlayStation has gone down, and that has caused a whole load of angst among the younger generation. So while we are moving towards a more digital society, I think it is prudent to stick to some of the older traditional ways, and if that means me keeping some cash in my purse, then I'm going to do that. So I'm just wondering, is it just me, or does anyone else have cash to hand? We're not quite at the stage, you know, where I'm not some eccentric old lady that keeps thousands of pounds under her mattress, but you know, maybe there's something in the older generation, older than me, in the past, having money to hand just in case. So being prepared, yep, I like to be prepared. It just gives me a feeling of security that I can cope with whatever life throws at me. And right now, life has thrown me a stinky cold. I can't complain. It's the first, I'm sipping my honey and lemon. It's the first cold I have, like proper cold I have had since I retired. So that is what, 18 months now? But I can hear it and I can feel it in my nose. And actually looking at my eyes, you can probably see I'm a little bit watery. So yeah, but again, I'm prepared because I've got my honey in the cupboard. I've got my frozen unwaxed lemon slices in the freezer. So yeah, a general feeling of being prepared for anything is today's theme. So let me know, are you always prepared? Are you financially prepared if your phone goes down, if your internet goes down, if the banking system goes down, if the credit card system goes down, if your PlayStation or Xbox or whatever other digital systems goes down? Are you prepared? I hope so. So hopefully you haven't heard any banging from next door. They're doing a bit more work on their kitchen today, so I thought I'll try and get this video done before they do a big noise and Luna excuse me, and Luna gets more vocal, shall we say. So my afternoon's activity is having a go at tidying out my guest bedroom to be. I have ordered a bed. I bit the bullet and took some money out of savings, and I managed to get a really good deal on Argos, of all places. Argos at the moment is offering 20% off furniture, so I got a really good deal on a small double bed. I have been keeping an eye on prices, and it should arrive this week. So fingers crossed I can clear enough space in the bedroom, and it might mean a few trips to the reuse hub, the recycle centre, and some charity shops this week. So hopefully I can get that done. And of course Luna's going to help me, as she normally does. So I hope this has been some food for thought for you in today's Money Monday. If you haven't already done so, please do comment, like, subscribe. All those things do help the channel, and I hope I will be less croaky in any videos I make after today. So have a good day, have a good week, and I will see you again soon. Bye.